working to connect a region of over 600 mil bridges between our lands.
Welcome to ASEAN in Focus. I'm Judith Gamera delivering to you the latest news in and around the ASEAN region on today's headlines. No Filipinos have been reported injured in the shooting incidents in Christchurch, New Zealand so far. Indonesian police uncover a huge stash of explosives, which they say are linked to a terrorist suspect whose wife blew up herself and a child following a dramatic standoff at their home. And ASEAN and Japan agreed to explore new initiatives for cooperation to further advance their strategic partnership following the 13th ASEAN-Japan Joint Cooperation Committee or JCC meeting held at the ASEAN Secretariat on March 14. No Filipinos have been reported injured in the shooting incidents in Christchurch, New Zealand so far. In an interview over CNN Philippines, Ambassador to New Zealand Jesus Domingo said this was based on reports from the Filipino community and the Philippine consulate there. However, he said they don't know the identity or names of injured that were brought to the hospital. He said around 5,000 Filipinos were working in Christchurch City. A solemn New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern said Friday the deadly mosque shootings in Christchurch had plunged the country into one of its darkest days.
Whilst I cannot give any confirmation at this stage around fatalities and casualties, what I can say is that it is clear that this is one of New Zealand's darkest days.
A gunman opened fire inside the Masjid Al-Noor Mosque during afternoon prayers, causing multiple fatalities. The mosque were packed with worshippers gathering for Friday afternoon prayers, and members of the Bangladesh cricket team were arriving when the shooter opened fire. New Zealand and Bangladesh on Friday canceled the third cricket test after this incident. Local media reported at least 9 people were dead, and the South Island city was placed in lockdown as police hunted for an active shooter. An eyewitness told Radio New Zealand he heard shots fired and 4 people were lying on the ground with blood everywhere. Unconfirmed reports said the shooter was wearing military-style clothing. Commissioner Bush said all schools in the city had been placed in lockdown in response to a serious ongoing firearms incident. Meanwhile, Eagle Broadcasting Corporation or EBC was able to get in touch with Philippine Ambassador in New Zealand, Gary Domingo. Let's listen in.
Okay, well, according to our honorary consulate and the Filipino community in Christchurch, there are no reports yet of Filipinos being among the injured or killed, but we are still monitoring, and hopefully there will be none.
Okay, sir.
It's possible. Well, also the city is still in lockdown. There are armed police and helicopters going around Christchurch, looking for the other possible shooters.
So, sir, how many Filipinos are there in New Zealand?
Overall, about 60,000, and in the Christchurch area, about 5,000 plus. Yes, well, we are asking the Filipino community to report in to us, report that they are safe or anything. So far, again, there's been no indication of Filipinos being among those injured, but the situation is still tense. The houses and schools are still on lockdown. People are advised to stay home and to inform the police to call our emergency number here, 111, if they see anything suspicious. Yeah, this is incredibly strange because, again, New Zealand is one of the most safest and peaceful countries in the world, with some of the most tolerant and accepting people. But as you may have seen also from the media, somebody believed to have been the shooter, one of the shooters, released this very anti-migrant, very racist manifesto. But apparently he's not even New Zealander. So again, this is a tragedy, but very unlike what you see day to day in otherwise very peaceful and very welcoming New Zealand. Okay, well, so far, we're glad to say that there have been no reports so far, but it's still possible. We should continue to pray for those who have been killed, who have been shot, and for the overall situation and people here in New Zealand. Please also try to get a hold of your relatives. At least the phone lines are still are still open. Social media is still accessible. And just let us know here at the embassy through our Facebook account if there's anything we can do, but we are in close touch, and please contact me from time to time for any updates.
In other news, Indonesian police uncover a huge stash of explosives, which they say are linked to a terrorist suspect whose wife blew up herself and a child following a dramatic standoff at their home. The discovery of some 300 kilograms or 660 pounds of assembled explosives and bomb-making materials raised fears that a major attack was being planned. A month before national elections and less than a year after Indonesia was rocked by a wave of deadly suicide bombings. The suicide blast early Wednesday morning came after police had arrested the husband, Abu Hamza, who was identified as a member of Jemaah Ansharut Daulah or JAD. The Islamic State-linked jihadist network has been blamed for attacks last May in Indonesia's second biggest city, or Surabaya, the deadliest in years to rock the world's biggest Muslim-majority nation.
Hampir 300 kilo, ternyata laporan dari tim yang melakukan pemeriksaan dan uji laboratoris terhadap barang bukti yang ditemukan ternyata sudah bahan jadi. Jadi tim akan melakukan pemusnahan secara khusus di tempat yang khusus karena itu barang dengan yang cuma 3 kilo, 3 kilo aja seperti itu, apalagi kalau 300 kilo. Karena itu nanti peningkatan dan pelaksanaan disposal akan dilaksanakan di tempat yang lebih aman. Yang meledak kemarin dengan lubang yang diameter 5 meter, kemudian kedalaman hampir 1,5 sampai 3 meter. Tentunya mereka ini memang menyiapkan bahan itu di sini.
Officers surrounded the arrested militant's home in Sibolga on Sumatra Island when the confrontation began. During a nearly 12-hour standoff, the wife lobbed an explosive device at security personnel, wounding a police officer, the authorities said. They later found parts of a woman's corpse and that of at least one child. Police initially said they thought 2 of the couple's children might have been killed. Police said they uncovered a large cache of bombs and explosive materials in the couple's home and another in the same city. On Thursday, police destroyed materials in a controlled explosion in the field. University of Indonesia terrorism expert Stanislaw Riante said the large stash hinted that a serious attack was being planned. A Vietnamese woman suspected of assassinating the North Korean leader's half-brother lost her bid for immediate release Thursday, as Malaysian authorities refused to drop a murder charge days after her Indonesian co-accused was freed. Duan Thi Wang broke down in tears as a prosecutor announced the Attorney General had rejected a request to free her and her trial would continue. She has been on trial for a year and a half over the 2017 assassination of Kim Jong-nam at Kuala Lumpur Airport.
Nangis.
It's a case of Duan that she is completely innocent. She's a scapegoat. Her case is the same as that of Siti Aisyah. There are no differences. similarities all along. We ran the same defense, that they have no knowledge, no intention to kill your scapegoats. If Siti Aisha could be released, why not one?
A Vietnamese woman accused of murdering the North Korean leader's half-brother was given a mental health checkup on Friday. A day after she lost a release bid and broke down in a Malaysian court, her lawyer said. Duan Thi Wang is on trial for the 2017 Kuala Lumpur airport assassination of Kim Jong-nam. Her Indonesian co-accused was released this week after prosecutors dropped a murder charge. But authorities Thursday refused to do the same for Wang. The 30-year-old was brought from prison to a Kuala Lumpur hospital in a van accompanied by several police cars and heavily armed officers wearing balaclavas, according to one of the officers escorting her. She left after about an hour. And I quote, "Our client Juan is stressed. She has been taken to a public hospital. She is undergoing a psychiatric assessment," her lawyer said. On Thursday, the suspect sobbed in the dock and had to be helped out of court by 2 police officers, after a prosecutor announced that the Attorney General had refused to drop a murder charge against her. It was a shock development after her Indonesian co-defendant, Siti Aisha, was freed on Monday and flew back home. Authorities did not give any reason for withdrawing the charge against Aisha, which followed an intense lobbying effort by Jakarta. Both women have always denied murder, insisting they were tricked by North Korean spies into assassinating Kim by smearing a nerve agent on his face, and believed it was a prank for a reality TV show.
Visiting the Philippines, Manila or Quezon City is a popular destination. But oftentimes the hustle and bustle of the city can be more stressful on your vacation. So when you feel the need to reconnect to nature or relax again, there's a beautiful oasis just outside of the city called the Garden at Ciudad de Victoria. That you can see here include hydrangea, snapdragon, and stargazers. They're truly beautiful. The gardens at Ciudad de Victoria are so peaceful, tranquil, and beautiful that it's become a haven for young couples and a very popular venue for engagement photos. The next time you want an escape from the big city, the garden at Ciudad de Victoria is a wonderful place to visit.
Welcome back. Still no end to the water shortage and crisis in Manila. Manila Water announces more interruptions in more areas in Manila. Speaking to Palace reporters, presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo said the Duterte administration was concerned about the water shortage. While leading water concessionaires Manila Water and Maynilad get their water directly from Angat Dam in Bulacan, only consumers of Manila Water have experienced water scarcity. Malacanang pledged to look into the unprecedented water service interruption that's affecting hundreds of thousands of Filipino families.
No, my question...
In other words, wala sanang water shortage kung bigyan ng allocation. Kasi yun din ang parang pinupoint ni Secretary Delphine Lorenzana na lahat naman ang gagaling sa Angat Dam wala naman daw problema sa Angat Dam.
Yun nga, sir
Puno naman.
Correct.
So baka naman yung distribution lang ang nagka-diferensya. Kung totoo na ang Angat Dam is punong-puno at lahat naman nanggagaling doon, hindi nga totoo. So something is wrong with the efficiency in distributing as well as the quotas or the shares. Nga sinasabi ni, parang yan ang gist nung sinasabi ni Secretary Lorenzana dun sa kanyang chat, na the water comes from Angat Dam and there is no shortage nun as far as the particular dam is concerned. Puno, walang kulang. So bakit nagkakakulang yung distribution? So gaya ng sinabi nyo kanina, kulang yung binigay yung allocation dito sa parte ng Manila. Yun ang siguro alamin natin bakit nagkaganon. Hindi natin alam kung, iimbestigahan nga, kaya iniimbestigahan kung bakit, ano ba nangyari. Kasama yun sa executive order.
Okay.
Kung silang may kasalanan, we'll make sure that they will be accountable.
Okay.
Basta it's current. Investigation is underway. It's coming from the office of the president.
Meanwhile, the Metropolitan Water Works and Sewerage System, or the MWSS Chief Regulator Patrick T. said that the government is partly to blame for the ongoing water crisis in Manila. He said the government and water service concessionaires already forecasted water supply problem and have formulated solutions that have been delayed. The multi-billion peso Kaliwa Dam project, part of the Duterte administration's water security and build programs, will supply an additional 600 million liters per day or MLD by 2023 to Metro Manila and the nearby provinces of Cavite, Rizal, and Bulacan. The 12.2 billion pesos Kaliwa Dam project will be funded by a 10.2 billion pesos package under China's official development assistance and a counterpart fund of 2 billion pesos from the Philippine government. But several groups have been calling on the government not to proceed with the Kaliwa Dam project, one of the most delayed infrastructure projects. They cited concerns with the environmental impact of the project, its alleged dislocation of communities, and the terms of the Chinese funding. The head of Maynilad's water supply operations on Friday, March 15, denied allegations the water shortage in some parts of Metro Manila and Rizal was because of a closed structural bypass at La Mesa Dam that favors that water concessionaire. In an interview, Engineer Ronaldo Padua said, in the first place, the bypass that one Angel Salazar had demanded to be open to address the shortage of water in areas covered by the other concessionaire, Manila Water, has been open for 2 years. In a series of comments to the Facebook page of Patrick T., Chief of the Metropolitan Water Works and Sewerage System that regulates both Maynilad and Manila Water, Salazar, who claimed to have worked at the MWSS from 1982 to 2012, had blamed the water regulator for the shortage, saying it was its board that ordered the bypass closed to allow for all the water to go to Maynilad instead. Salazar, who said she managed the headworks at MWSS since 1982, said these led the drying up of La Mesa Dam, where Manila Water primarily gets its water to service its customers. According to Padua, secondly, the bypass was controlled by Manila Water itself as it was one of its assets. He said as it is, the opening and closure of the bypass was being regulated by that water concessionaire. He said the 60-40 arrangement was based on the number of customers of each water concessionaire, with Maynilad servicing more than customers than the other.
Landmarks, Linggo, alas 6 hanggang alas 7 ng gabi.
Welcome back. The leader of Thailand's ruling junta says he will respect the results of the March 24 general election at a conference with investors in Bangkok. Prayut Chan-ocha also defended a cybersecurity law which he claimed is designed to protect businesses and not wiretap people.
ก็เหมือนทุกประเทศนั่นแหละมีการเลือกตั้งแล้วนี่ก็ต้องยอมรับการที่เราใช้คำว่าความปลอดภัยทางไซเบอร์นั้นหลายคนจะเอาไปอาจจะไปพันกันในเรื่องของสิทธิมนุษยชนเพราะฉะนั้นกฎหมายไซเบอร์นั้นจะมีไว้เฉพาะในเรื่องของการที่มีเหตุการณ์อะไรเกิดขึ้นในเรื่องของการหลอกลวงการทำธุรกิจผิดกฎหมายต่างเหล่านี้มันจะได้ไม่ล้มคงไม่มีใครอยากจะไปฟังการใครใช้โทรศัพท์พูดโทรศัพท์กับใครนะครับคงเป็นเรื่องของการที่จะไปดูในเรื่องธุรกิจเมื่อไรที่มีการฟ้องร้องมีการร้องทุกข์กล่าวโทษแล้วก็สามารถดำเนินการได้ตามกฎหมายนะครับเพราะเป็นการอะไรอาจจะเรียกได้ว่าเป็นการฉ้อโกงขนาดใหญ่นะหรือการประกอบธุรกิจที่มันไม่ถูกต้อง
Meanwhile, ASEAN and Japan agreed to explore new initiatives for cooperation to further advance their strategic partnership following the 13th ASEAN-Japan Joint Cooperation Committee, or JCC, meeting held at the ASEAN Secretariat on March 14. The meeting underscored the commitment of both sides to build on their achievements, to take the relations to a greater height. It acknowledged that substantive progress had been made in the implementation of the plan of the Vision Statement on ASEAN-Japan Friendship and cooperation with conduct of a large number of activities and projects in more than 90% of the action lines under the plan since its adoption in 2017. A number of activities have also been planned in 2019, such as the continuation of the Japan-East Asia Network of Exchange Students and Youth Program, or the adoption of a joint statement on connectivity by the leaders at their summit in November this year. Both sides noted the importance of continuing efforts to advance cooperation in areas of common strategic priorities, such as trade and investment, infrastructure, disaster management, humanitarian assistance, people-to-people exchanges, as well as emerging areas responding to the 4.0 industrial revolution, such as e-commerce and cybersecurity. ASEAN welcomed Japan's continued support for ASEAN community building, including its contribution to the Japan-ASEAN Integration Fund to support cooperation programs and projects aimed at enhancing connectivity and narrowing development gaps in the region. Both sides agreed to further streamline and provide necessary flexibilities to facilitate the utilization of the fund. The meeting also discussed preparations for the implementation of the Technical Cooperation Agreement between ASEAN and Japan, which is expected to be signed in May this year. ASEAN and Japan also exchanged views on recent developments in their respective region. ASEAN welcomed Japan's continued support for ASEAN's central role in ASEAN-led regional frameworks. The 13th ASEAN-Japan GCC meeting was co-chaired by Permanent Representative of Vietnam to ASEAN Tran Duc Dinh and Ambassador of Japan to ASEAN Kazuo Tsunaga. It was attended by members of the Committee of Permanent Representatives to ASEAN and their representatives, as well as the Deputy Secretary General for ASEAN Political Security Community Department of the ASEAN Secretariat. And that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Judith Temera, and I'm on with 25.